Oh, I know, we haven't now.
Re-record it.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here at our downtown committee. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call. Rebecca. Let's see, Fran. Here. Marie. Tony. Dion. Frank.
Here.
Jane. Susan. Here. Dave.
Here.
Savannah. Here. I'm here. Emily. Jeannie. And Fred. I know. Oh, Marie, you're here. Okay, perfect. I know that Jeannie and Jane had appointments. Okay. All right, at 8:30, we're gonna switch topics. So I would really like to get the Parkland item already, finalized. But Sharon is here, so I can pass it right on over to her and she can do whatever. Show what you want to do. Okay. Any public comment? How about approval of, okay, I guess I should say there's no public comment, but full public comment. And approval of April's regular meeting minutes. Get a chance to look at them. Do I have someone to make a motion to approve?
So.
Second? All in favor?
Right.
Okay. All right, we're going to do a final approval of the committee's recommendation for the Parkland requirements be submitted to the community development department. I hope you have time to look at it. What I'm going to do, since we are a quorum, I'm going to go through. First of all, let me ask you, is there anything you want to add to this list? Before we move forward.
You guys have extra copies.
Are
Are they gonna give like 60 days? Oh, sorry. Are they gonna give like 60 days to somebody that's currently not in compliance, or is it 6 months or a year?
That would be a little bit different. These are the requirements
For
if
future
you're going to
Parklands.
apply.
Right,
And then, once we get this adopted, if they're not matching these requirements, then that would be another discussion of how long they have to take it down or comply with these.
right.
Okay,
I have a
Yes.
question, sorry, just want to do this again, the no parklets on Waterway Street. So what we're saying here is that the parklet that's currently in front of Royal and Temple, that will no longer exist.
probably.
The-
Demos.
Demo.
What's
And
your-
in reality, are you sure it's a block, I did right next to it,
I know.
blocking it
That is why National Crosswalk, which you have to be.
within 20 days. And it also, I didn't realize that until Dave took it down there, it blocks a good portion, what, 4 feet, 5 feet of your building.
Six.
So it's built over in front of another building. That Parkwood,
So we're talking about after the fact, I mean, the city put this together years ago. How come all that wasn't taken into consideration then?
that is a very good question.
I'm just saying, now we're gonna, again, I don't know what Dave or anyone else stands with it, but that is not a discussion we should be having now, that discussion that happened 4, 5, 6, whatever, however long ago now. We put it out there, say, I understand what you're saying, all that stuff, which is important, but to say now we're gonna punish a business because the city didn't do it right.
Well, when it was approved, it was temporary.
Right,
The COVID, right?
right.
No.
No.
But it was still approved as something that was revocable at any time. But it's not part of.
It's only been there for a couple years, right?
What?
It's only been there for.
Oh, no, Campbell's been there,
Oh.
Campbell's Parkwood has been there for about 2017, yeah, 6, 7 years.
Man.
Well, it was built like, Golden State Road. Wasn't that?
That's right.
Okay.
The first one in the city when everybody's like, well, who knew what bad dates could come, right? It's coming later. So it was approved, but it was approved as something that could be revocable at any time. The one that is at Station 5 is strictly because of COVID and had a very defined expiration date that it was supposed to come down without us having to go through all this. but it didn't.
Discussion about no parking on Monterey Street.
I don't think you can go into a city in California our size without having at least one or two parklets in the street. I think it's the norm. People are used to it. There's only one on Monterey, maybe a moratorium on no new ones, but I certainly don't think it hurts. I was downtown last Friday night. There was a youth group inside the bowling alley, and afterwards they were using the parklet to give out awards to each other. So maybe encouraging, letting everybody know that doesn't belong to Temple, but belongs to
Everyone.
everyone, I think would be a better step than just limiting it.
Any other thoughts?
Well, if you're talking about that one, there's only one on Monterey, what do you do about the fact that it's never crosswalk, a fire hydrant? You get any more illegal?
Well, that's not Jimmy. You're gonna have to weigh in on this one because there are those three violations.
And if it's everybody's part of the community, who has to pay for the parking spaces?
And maybe,
And maintenance and cleaning it.
not putting the personal signs on.
Well, I don't really want to jump in the middle of this discussion that you're all having, but,
Well, it's not just agreement. We've got three things that are illegal on that.
right, and so if you want me to, I can go out there. We did, I'll show you.
Oh, no, I'm
That's
saying,
what I have to do.
right. Well, no, I'm
But
saying.
what I'm telling the council is that until we get a full understandable markup program, you don't go back, you don't go just start fixing things because they're wrong, you have to work the process, and that's the same thing we did with Station 55, they have many issues. We had every right to shut it down, we did not. And so that.
Well, let's back up then and ask the real question here. From the three things that we pointed out, from a city's standpoint, are they illegal? Okay, being there, code violations, yeah. I guess that would determine whether we're gonna ban from, have it torn down.
So Carol, let me ask the question again. I understand where most of you're going with. You think if there's a violation, it's illegal, it's illegal. When it was built 6, 7 years ago. How come that wasn't done back then?
I would say the people that approved it, including the council, knew it. They did not ask those questions. They didn't.
Came law first of the year, and they had to move them to San Francisco, they actually moved.
So maybe no carpets on Monterey Street needs to be tabled for right now, and it has to legally be looked into to see if they are, well, we know they're code violations, but how far do we go with it? What do you think?
Yeah,
It wouldn't be a big thing, though.
No, it wouldn't.
That's a staff.
That's why I'm trying to
Administrative, that we talk with people, and I do agree that things been there for quite a while, that there are more that's allowed to deal with it, but best we can do at this point is make sure that they adhere to the code. And,
So that, yes, that's why I asked you to join in on this conversation, because it's not our
I
decision.
know that there is a lot of different opinions. This is not, I don't think, a place for me to advocate or not advocate, just try to help. But I also know that, the whole council as well have different opinions. We went through this with Station 55.
Right.
What was the reasoning for not having them on Monterey? I wasn't at the meeting, I was sick, for the parklet meeting. Was it just to
Because
avoid
they're thoroughfare,
parking issues or?
thoroughfare and it blocked people's buildings, like Davis was saying, it covers part of his building.
So the blocking of the buildings, any other reasoning?
Parking places.
Parking spaces.
Refresh my memory, because this was a discussion a few months ago. What were some other reasons? Parking places?
Parking.
Safety.
Safety,
Safety.
the visual of it, everyone, there was nothing consistent. So. Okay.
The fact that it's
I have no idea.
Safety.
It's not a side street.
So do you feel, comfortable with me just saying tabled, because Jimmy's right, this is not our fault. And it should be up to staff to deal with these violations.
What if there's something like one every block or, something, because if you table it, then that means that people can put them on Monterey, right?
So what we need to say then, okay, where you're going is, do you want to have no more apartments on Monterey Street? We could word it that way, or we could say one per block.
Or, yeah,
But then I would wonder, how would you
differentiate who could have one and who could not.
Maybe that's where it could be and.
I mean, that shouldn't be the case because we did a survey and nobody else wants one besides the two that have one, but we don't.
Yeah. So no more than on Monterey?
I have another question. So if they can't be on Monterey, then does that mean I'm on the corner of Fifth and Eagleberry? We don't say anything about blocking visibility, do we? And the width of the building? I mean.
Well, that would come in
have to
our
be that
requirements.
big? Huh?
Mhm.
That would come in our requirements.
Well, I know, your last one, Parklet cannot exceed the width of the business building. Ooh, that could be pretty big.
I could.
Well, I think when we wrote that one down, we're thinking of James' situation where he had neighbors
Right.
come in front of his building, we're saying, no, we can't stop.
But do we need them as wide as somebody's building?
No, we don't, you could put in a.
Cannot exceed the width of a business building.
that we-
I don't think that is what we want to say, that last sentence.
I think if we come up, thanks for that, if we come up with a uniform look, design, size, all of that. right?
Yeah,
And I know all of us have gone to places where, I was just in Louisville, Kentucky, they have downtown where they have parks over, and it's people everywhere. You go to, Holliston, right, you go to Lafayette, you go, if we come up with a uniform look that looks nice, people are gonna come.
I
right?
think,
Right, and now we're gonna say we're gonna, we're gonna have the city go out there and say violate, we also have to take ownership of that, right? So if we have to say, okay, here's what we're gonna do, we're gonna have them, we're gonna make it smaller, whatever it is, then we can start having something that everybody might be able to afford, to build or whatever it may be, right? To say no more parklets, we're gonna close them down, they're violating whatever. Yeah, I just think we're doing something to service for downtown, right? Some downtowns close one block, so people can walk along there and dine and all that stuff.
aren't you gonna close Gourmet Alley and then on the weekends? I mean, is that enough closure? I don't wanna close Monterey or a block on.
No, you're right, I'm not saying it, again, until we get people to downtown, we're not getting people to Gourmet Alley. I'm sorry.
What if we did something, so the blockage of the storefront is one issue, so that was solved with the maximum height of 48 inches. Is that right, or does that still not solve the problem?
It's the width.
That's the height.
Well, I know, I understand that, I'm just trying to like also,
What's the width of?
so I
There's that
think.
one of the building.
It's,
So, and
40 feet.
what you were saying yesterday about having uniform ones,
Yeah.
right? So instead of measuring it, because like literally, if I put a parklet in front of my new space, I would take up an entire block. So maybe instead of judging it against the actual building, maybe just say they can only be this wide, period, the end.
a maximum. of
Right,
60
and
feet.
then if they can only be 48 inches, so now they're not blocking the storefront, so we've kind of got that. What if instead of saying we could have one per block, it's parklets may not take up X percentage of parking spaces, so then it's not like, well, you can have a parklet, but you can't, it's, oh, I'm sorry, but you can't have a parklet because we have to have this many parking spaces. So that way there's still some allowance, but there's,
So it's mostly on a first come, first served basis, you're saying, well, that's a thought. Let's go back to this first one here, where we have no parklets on Monterey Street. Do we want to say, let's get that finalized. Do you want to say one per block, as many as you want? No more other than what's existing. Let's send something over to community development where they have an idea where the community stands.
I said, and once we have.
That's what we're trying to do, exactly.
And then they just follow the parameters.
Yeah, you have a uniform look.
Okay.
right?
but
How many of you feel, we should have as many as people want?
I would disagree.
Just give me a thumbs up, because eight passes it.
Oh, that,
You know, what Dion just said.
okay, no.
Have as many as we want downtown. Sorry, that does not pass. Okay, how about one per block? That doesn't pass. How about leaving the existing tempo one and no more after that?
And I would say the Temple one, get it to meet.
Conform to
meet
standards.
confirmed standards. Okay, you're 48, get rid of your signs, get rid of your tarp and maintain it. And, get him in front of his property and make sure he follows the state laws and leave him there, and then,
He's gonna have a 3 foot.
well,
It's not,
that's his
yeah.
problem, he shouldn't be blocking somebody else's,
Yeah, no,
right
no,
away.
I agree.
And leave it at that, and if he wants to confirm, go by those laws or those rules, he does it, if he doesn't, he pulls it down.
All right, so.
And I think there just has to be, in the future, there's, the parklets are okay, we're not ready for it right now. Personally, I don't think half the buildings are vacant and abandoned and the parkings that we have are not maintained. So until there's some kind of order, why even allow it? I mean, you might get some tenant that's gonna make an amazing parklet that meets regulation, that's fine. But the majority, we see it that they don't maintain it,
That's why we're.
and then it's just an eyesore when you're taking a parking spaces and it's dirty and the amount of usage is very minimal. Because they're not marketing right or whatever the case might be.
So I have a thought. So my impression is that parklets are not in high demand. Based on the opinions and the research that's been done. And if we were gonna do parklets, if somebody wanted a parklet, could we do like a pool? Okay, we have 3 parklets available for the next 5 years. If somebody applies, fine. If they don't,
Like they do
Fine.
liquor licenses.
and
I'm
that's
saying,
it.
so it doesn't take up
That's
too much
fine.
parking, but it's not like one per block, it's like somewhere in the middle, right? So there's opportunity, because like, I think it would be kind of cool to potentially have one where I am, like, that would be cool. I don't know if I can do it, but it would be nice to have the opportunity, and I do see what it does to some other downtowns, and we are not ready if we don't have, this is creating a little bit more order.
Yeah.
And I agree with you that they need to be uniform and they need to look,
Absolutely.
like in Hollister, I think they look similar to each other. I think they're uniform. I
And
think
they
that,
pay, they pay for per space.
Yeah.
There's a fee, and we'll fee.
and I think that's
It's not
great.
public property for free.
And they usually, I think the garden shop, they put the plants and they have planter boxes and it looks really nice, and they maintain the planter boxes, which is nice.
So, okay, so now we have something else on. I wrote down, temporary use, there's the existing code and not block other buildings. Uniformity, people apply if they want it, and then when they apply, they have to see all of the rules that apply to parklets. They have to see what fees they're gonna be paying and the maintenance of it. Is that good enough?
Mhm.
Yeah, Susan.
I'm just thinking of the side streets, like Sixth Street, that's not a very wide street when you get it. So if somebody, are they gonna put a parklet in the street? Fill the street. I know, but I mean, Milius had theirs on the sidewalk during COVID.
And the parking spaces are parallel instead of, or they're like, the parking spaces on Monterey are wide, so that's why you can have like a wide parklet, but on the side
You
streets,
can't.
It's
you
narrow.
can't.
Do
And
you want to ban them on side streets? So you.
I don't wanna ban them, I'm just saying, she's right, that
No, I'm
there's
just
a point
saying
there.
there, we want to ban them on side streets because side streets are narrow.
Then you're saying station 55, yeah,
Right.
not right, that's.
Yeah. Okay, no, I'm just throwing things out to the group here.
Question. So,
Yeah.
you have parklets, however we decide to go. And if it is probably Hollister or some other city where, again, we want a uniform look, we want exactly how we think it should come out, right? Where the city ends up building these parklets and the tenant ends up paying a monthly rent or lease or whatever, right? So that way we're getting paid back for doing this and we're not having someone else go out there and build it. We're actually building the way that we want it. And now if you want a parklet, we're gonna build it monthly.
Is that gonna be, what do they call it, prevailing wage or union wage?
That would be really, I guess, I don't think that would be really expensive to do. How about if we give them a plan and say, these are your dimensions, these are the specifications, if you want it, you build it. Because parklets are not cheap. Yeah. It could be up to 30,000.
I think that then you get away from the uniformity of it. I like what Fred's saying, that there is a standard and the city builds it
That's
and,
what we're doing, Savannah, that we're creating a standard,
right.
that if they're going to build it, here's what your specifications
It has to
are.
pass
And
inspection,
it has to pass
so it
inspection.
looks the same, but
So my concern is then it's different contractors, it's different materials. If it was built, by the city, it would be one person,
All
same
right,
material.
let's go, you know what, let's take on this first one and make it last. Let's go through all of our standards here, and then that's gonna answer a lot of your questions right here. Maximum height of 48 inches. Can you live with that?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes? Any no's? Anyone wants it taller, shorter?
No, nothing that obstructs visibility above 48.
Okay.
I was trying to find the PDF of it so I could print it.
Okay, let's go down to the other, umbrellas and tables for shade and seating and propane heaters for warmth. Certain colors suggested for uniformity. Everyone's okay with that one?
Yep.
All right. And then the certain colors suggested for uniformity, Sharon will let you decide colors. Building materials, no maintenance, prefabricated composite wood, Trex, and earth tones or wrought iron. Another alternative could be flower planter boxes molded to the ground, which outline the parklet. These are easy to disassemble if the business leaves. So it would either be flower planter boxes and or prefabricated composite wood. How many of you have been to Hollister and seen their parklets right now? They're looking old, and salons are looking old.
I think there's
Wood.
too many of them too.
Yes,
It takes over the whole street.
right. So prefabricated wood. Agree? Okay,
But it says,
or they want to use wrought iron, they can do that too.
but it's, I don't, if I read that, no maintenance, prefabricated composite would be, I'd say, I read that, I can't have. That's how I read it.
Well,
It should
apparently,
be maintenance free.
Or no, don't take the word no out.
well, actually, if that's what it's actually called. It's no maintenance, what it says is no
Oh,
maintenance.
oh, oh.
You never have to worry about repainting it or.
So maintenance free,
Can we just, yeah.
Maintenance, yeah, well, it's actually, the company actually says no maintenance prefabricated.
yeah.
Literally in editing. Yeah, I read it,
Okay.
I would say, oh, I can't have wrought iron, I can't have.
Right.
prefabricated.
Because it sounds like no.
Sharon, is
Let me not
that,
make it out.
is that clear to you? When it's saying no maintenance, it means that
It just needs a hyphen.
It's a brand?
That's it.
it's a brand, yeah.
Brand of a
Yeah.
dog?
Or stress, it just means that you never, the wood you put in never has to be treated or taken care of. I'll let you figure out.
I think
Maybe
you
how
put it up.
More specific.
Yeah.
I make it as much like the Gourmet Alley as possible, with the same, look as Gourmet Alley, the same materials, you know, the concrete planters that can be moved in and out.
Yeah, and so the person has that option also.
Well, so if we give people options, then we are moving away from the uniformity. Because there is, and so Savannah mentioned too, that, you know, there's a lot of different, you know, earth tones. So you can have everyone who has a, whatever, can pick a different color and, or they can have planter boxes. And what color are those planter boxes? They could be different too. So there could be like one that does planter boxes and then the rest of them do this prefab in like different colors. So you're moving further and further away from uniformity.
How many of you want uniformity?
Uniform is boring.
Wait,
Well-
you show hands again.
We want Nate Ashbury.
You can have a color palette without being uniform.
Right, but
You
Yeah.
can have an approved color palette without being uniform.
Okay,
I
A
don't
lot of
think,
cities have approved
I-
color palettes.
I think downtown is like already, there's a lot going on in downtown. And I think what we're trying to do is just create some sort of uniformity when people are putting these things up. Because that's really what is the problem right now, right? Is people are like, this doesn't match and this, you know, I don't like how this looks. And if we figure out something that at least has a tie of uniformity to it, so not, you know, maybe just we use Trex and that's it. We don't use planter boxes. Or we use gray Trex and we use cement planter boxes and that's it. Then you can have a variety, but it's not like too much because then you start getting different parklets in front of different buildings and everything is just like,
However, you design the inside lights or whatever. it's
Yeah.
Separate, but then having a uniform look and classy, whatever it may be, instead of having one that's 8 feet tall, one that's 2.
no, that's different.
No, no,
We've
no,
got height,
I'm
yeah.
giving an example, right? So,
but it's the same concept of having different types.
Uniformity. Okay, how many of you want uniformity? Doesn't have.
I think it's loosely defined.
Yeah.
uniformity. I mean, what does that mean?
How about who would like two choices?
Raise your hand.
Or
What's two choices?
Two choices as opposed to one choice,
choice of what, color or material or what are you talking?
anything.
I think just so it comes, I mean, there should be choices, but they need to be within reason.
So.
Right.
And so you have to come up with whatever that is.
Or like a homeowners association can have, some of them, they're strict ones, say you can paint your house these 5 colors. So it's a color palette. So it's not uniform, but it's still uniform.
Right, within reason.
Okay, so. I think we,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, we might wanna come back into this one. Let's go keep. Sure.
I don't think
Formative,
for
but not
staff, so I'm gonna, again, there, you look at Campbell, applied for a grant to help fund these, parklets back in 2022. I think, Hollister, a lot of their funding came from, the CARES Act fund, right, to help with parklets, right? So my question in the city, have we looked into any sort of grants that might be, available for us to apply to
That's
help?
off the subject.
It's not off the subject.
Well,
Talking about-
we're talking about requirements, but
Right.
that you're talking budget.
Well, this goes in line with what he was saying about the city building them, and you saying it was too expensive to do that.
I know, but we're off topic just a little bit. We can come back to it. We're trying to send some requirements over to community development of what we would want to see. And then grant funding will come later because it might be a good point. If no one takes us up on
Well,
it, you know, just, so
and we can go back to it, but
let's come back.
I'm going back to what was said. People, I think, the mayor said that, you know, nobody has the interest or wants this, because they can't afford it. And now you as a business owner, you're telling me, hey, there's a grant out there that will be for 60% of it. Changes my mind.
Or if the city builds it and I just have to pay a monthly thing, I'd be down for that.
Okay, but then if you do the monthly payment, you're gonna be paying for the building of it and you're paying for your parking places.
Yeah.
And then you're paying for the other fees that come along with it. You might be paying $3,000-4,000 a month for it.
Sound like a
You know,
good deterrent, doesn't
But
it?
it's, well, yes, but you also, but also $60,000 to build one outright
60.
or whatever it is. Then that's also a deterrent.
I mean, that's.
And they're working 7 to 7, 6 days a week.
Right, I mean, so you're talking about, I understand what we're doing here, but I understand, if we're gonna talk about, you know, building this, however we decide we want it, first question you're asked, how to get people interested in doing this? Well, we have grants, we have this, we have that, we have these programs, that changes everyone's mentality, right?
Okay, but I'll be honest with you. There are a lot of people interested in wanting these apartments built all over town, because the more you build, the more you lose in parking places.
Okay, we had a parking study done, the parking study said that we have plenty of parking, right?
Yeah, at 7 in the morning.
Okay, not, if we all know that not everybody's gonna want a park, we know. But now, as a business owner, say, hey, I have an opportunity here, I can't afford $60,000. But the city's gonna build it, then they have this grant that's gonna help me, this and that. Now instead of 3,000, I'm paying 500. That changes your whole mentality, right?
Well, don't anyone believe they're gonna be paying 500.
When,
You're missing-
when did the parking or?
This is what are we doing this proactive as a city to help?
Sharon, go ahead.
Yeah, so, when I researched parklet laws last year and was on the council, for my research, all the cities that have some sort of grant, they were all from COVID funding, and
Right.
all ended. And in fact, last year, you probably can find articles about City of San Jose started, needing to charge all the businesses, and many of the parklets have closed, that's all last.
Do you remember how much they charge per month?
I don't recall, but it's, I would say at least 20,000 probably, but don't quote me, I read a whole, I researched many cities.
I just don't want us to get hung up on the city paying, the city looking for grants. I don't think that's gonna happen right now. We need to have we have to stay on topic here with the standards of what we want to see in a design. And then if the city decides that they're able to find grants, if they work out a deal with the person. I don't think that's up to us to tell them what to do with these parks, but we can suggest what it's gonna look like. No signage on the parklet unless it's the business logo max height is 48 inches, that takes in the concern we heard earlier. Building owner and tenants need to approve the parklet to sign. Now, I don't know what that means, because if we're coming up with all these standards, we're telling them that the design is going to be correct.
I also,
Or am I missing something with that?
on the max height for the logo, I would say does not exceed the height of the parklet itself, because I could see someone putting it on top. You know what I mean?
Don't exceed 48 inches, that's what we said there. Logo max height is 48 inches from the
Yes,
ground.
that's, I would just put
From
some.
ground, thank you.
Do we care about width?
It's not.
It's a sign, so it'd have to go through planning anyway, right?
I don't know for this, not for this now.
If the park belongs to everybody, why are we allowing logos on the parklet?
Because the place, the building, the business has to pay for the spaces they're taking up.
There.
So why wouldn't they be the ones that
But
ever?
it's back to like Tempo kicking people
Right.
out of their,
Technically, the parklet is owned by the business that puts it in. However, it is for public use, and that's how we have to look at it. So they might want to advertise something on there because that business owner is gonna have to maintain it and clean it. And if things start to fall apart on it, it needs to be repaired. So that might be the difference. So if you bring up width, I just realized we don't have a width on this. So I wrote it down, wrote that.
Well, it says the parklet at the last one, may not exceed the width of the building, but we're talking signs. It
Yeah.
doesn't say the sign would be the whole length of the parklet.
It could.
I don't understand why a sign on a parklet wouldn't need to go through planning if a sign on a building has to go through planning. We have so
Based
many.
on this, I was just picturing, a logo, a small logo.
Yeah.
So maybe, let's put a size, what's the width of a logo that you would like? 3 feet, 36 inches?
Right.
Is that too small? 4 feet?
4 feet.
4 by 4?
The important thing is that it's just a logo, it shouldn't be stuff that drivers are gonna look at.
Distracted.
Yeah, that's the thing we were talking about, was signs about our upcoming events and words on there, which is what Tempo has done in the past.
And so there's not gonna be any regulations on like what type of sign is on these? If it's just like a banner or like, does it have to be a certain material or can it look like, can it be old? And I guess I'm just saying this is an opportunity for things to kind of go downhill again where I know you're still battling those flag thingies and, it's just, I think if something's gonna go on here, it should go through planning or something. There should be uniformity and, it can't be a banner. It needs to be a permanent type of thing that isn't gonna weather and look like crap after 3 months.
Could it be that I'm sorry.
No, I'm gonna send you all, the city of Los Gatos had a wonderful subsidized semi-permanent parklet program with different choices, but uniform look, right? And it's a partnership with the city and the business owners are paying for processing fee, permit fees, all that stuff, right? The city's gonna pay for this, and then they work together in funding it, and then, as you can see, they have uniform look, and different choices, right? So this is something that we should be looking at before we start making these decisions, right?
Where was that months ago when we asked all these things?
Well, okay, it's not my responsibility,
This is
it's.
like-
Yeah,
Yeah.
responsibility.
We all submitted for this. I didn't get lost yet. That's 2021.
So I.
How many-
2021.
How many are still there today?
We lost status?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay, so that's the whole thing, yes, they had some beautiful ones. I know Sharon and I sat down, looked at some really nice ones too from other cities. So she has a whole binder that she can look through. Let's look at building owner and tenants need to approve the parklet design. Do we need that? We're coming up with these
I think
requirements,
the city should be approving.
And building owner.
How many of you would like that one removed?
Oh, it has
Bill-
to,
Or reworded.
it has to be on, has to be on there, because if a
Well-
tenant,
But if we have requirements, then these people cannot build beyond the requirements.
Well, I think what Dave's saying is there should at least be a building owner approval.
yeah, it has to be, yeah, because if someone is an out-of-town builder, owner, and the guy builds this thing that the owner doesn't want in front of his
Well, sure.
building, so it should be approved by the building owner and the city,
Mhm.
at the least.
Yes. Okay,
Can I ask a clarification on the maximum height? You're talking about a fence or something, right, on the enclosure part of it?
Correct.
yeah, how can be 48 inches?
So you're saying to not be above, no, if people want to fly or anything.
No, well, I get no
No,
light.
no,
light.
nothing higher than the 48 inches.
Except for an umbrella.
Umbrellas,
Okay,
Okay, so no, we're not post or anything.
no.
no posts.
Okay, I just wanted to
Yeah.
understand.
So, okay. Let's see, there needs to be a buffer of 6 feet or whatever community development determines community apartments. Are you okay with that? So you just don't have park. 6 feet? Okay, yes, thumbs up,
This,
what, Dave?
this whole thing is going sideways. What are we trying to achieve here? You know, 6 feet, that means we're putting parklets on the whole Monterey Road again, you know?
Well, I think,
So-
if
But
we
not if they're not
do,
allowed.
Right,
A
exactly, so they can be allowed and that can be allowed, you know,
Well,
or,
when I asked about, did you wanna just keep tempo on Monterey Road, we didn't get 8 votes. To say yes, just tempo and no other one. So this committee, I think, is leaning more towards allowing parklets on Monterey if they wanna be built. Am I wrong? I mean, are you?
I don't think there should be any on Monterey.
I agree.
If you want to keep, if the,
All
or
right,
you want to keep tempo because it's already there, but they have to bring it down or change it to meet current K requirements,
Correct.
then fine. My personal opinion is there should not be parklands on Monterey.
okay.
yeah, there's plenty of sidewalk space like the Garlic City uses, you know? This is way too early for us for parklets, you know? We need to get people downtown, inside the buildings, you know, first of all, you know, and buildings fixed.
Do you wanna take another vote then? On, who wants to allow parklets on Monterey Street?
Including it, existing ones.
Including, the existing one's gonna have.
The mayor said to,
I don't think it should be unlimited, but I think that we should have some. I think there should be
So,
restrictions.
show hands, because we're not getting ready.
If this isn't passed, then we're going back to what David just said. You know, our sidewalks aren't wide for all those businesses to put tables and chairs on, right? So, I mean, given the new ordinance or ADA, whatever it is, I mean, you have to have certain, space. So how does a business say, you know what, I can't do a parking, let me put table and chairs on there? It's not possible. Right, so what is my other option?
No, it's not.
No, I'm saying, but if parks are not allowed, then what's my?
In reality, parklets are not making or breaking the business.
Right.
They're not that busy at all.
I mean,
Because I drive by, I see how many people are in Station 55, how many are at Tampa, just like everyone else.
I think that's your opinion, your assumption, I respect that.
And also seasonal.
And it's seasonal.
Because I know when Station 55 did their parklet, because when they first put it out, it was always packed, and when I see it during during the summer, because we go there a lot, there's a lot of people there, especially in the evening. Tempo, I'm not gonna comment on that, because it could be other reasons why people aren't there. But at Station 55, I do see a lot of people on there, so.
But again, it's seasonal, but that's on the street, so. I'm not getting the 8 votes, that's needed to have them on Monterey Street. That's a good point, Dave, because we don't have the votes for people who want it on Monterey Street, then this committee suggestion would be not to have.
Correct.
Parklets on Monterey Street.
new ones.
Yeah, anything to know, say no with this tempo thing. I mean, if he has to meet the rules and regulations, he's not gonna have a 2x2 spot, between his crosswalk, his fire hydrant, and blocking my building,
Right.
so.
Because Tampa's is gonna
Yeah.
have to change
Be
it.
2x2.
Well, just to double check here, how many would say just allow Tampa to he's gonna have to revise his parklet and say no new existing parklets on Monterey Street.
Not
So
even
that's
existing, just no new.
no new parklets. I get it, that's right. Thank you. Existing doesn't. Okay, now show of hands. No new parklets on Monterey Street except for Tampa's, and he has to come into compliance. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. That doesn't pass either. How about we do this? How about we form a subcommittee? on parking? A subcommittee of
Store meetings.
because I think we need to bring something more concise to the committee here. Okay, it's hard,
The airport city.
I think if you can't say we're for it, and we can't,
Yeah.
we're done. We don't do anything.
Well,
When was the parklet study done? When businesses were asked?
December. Yeah.
When,
Last December.
last December?
Last December, 2023.
Just thinking about all the new businesses that are coming in that didn't have a chance to. You know, if some of us have opinions about no new parklets because there isn't the demand. And we did that in December, like, there's so many businesses that are coming in to downtown since then.
Parklet on Monterey.
Right, on Monterey, but there's a lot of them coming onto Monterey, so that's what I'm kind of thinking is do we actually have the reality of what the future of downtown opinions are? Too, that might be, maybe it's something that we don't decide on right now since we are in the middle and maybe just put it off for a while and pick it back up later on, see how the parklets do.
Jimmy,
this summer.
where do you see this coming on the agenda? Because parklets was discussed in December, nothing ever got done before we're coming into a summer season. Do you just see staff writing up a report, coming back to council, letting council decide? Because certainly fees have to be put into here for parking places that are going to be taken out and.
Well, I think this goes along the line with the other, the committee would submit a report to council. And get some form of input, and if they want it agendized, put on the time, like they did with the other items.
Okay, so we have until 2026 for this one.
Well, if I'm getting a critical point,
On my.
looking down the road here, right? I know we're down a few years down the road and I don't know what the effect is going to be when the Sharps finish their facility, new businesses start coming in, it might change the whole.
Formality.
Landscape.
Everything may change how we see things, right? But to put a restriction on things now, from here on out, no, in 2 to 3 years, if we come back and say, you know what, you go with this, that, and that, it does slow good, right?
It would be nice to know too, how much it would cost a business to have those parking spaces. Is there like a thing already?
Did we decide with the?
Is it-
I mean, for parking space, we did not put in a dollar amount. Sharon, do you remember when we went through and looked at parking spaces, how much they were?
So you get rid of it if
Well,
if nothing's being approved.
Let's give
Can I
it.
say something real quick?
Yes, annual parking space fee, annual inspection fee. Yeah, we have fees in here.
Are you trying to solve the problem of issues with current parklets or trying to create opportunities for future parklets? I think what the problem here is we're mixing both, and one is kind of solvable now, and the other is a much longer kind of philosophical idea about what you see in downtown. So I just suggest if you maybe split those two up, that will help us to as staff say, we've got some problems with the current parklets, why don't we focus on that?
Right.
And then focus on the long-term strategic and specific plan in downtown with new parklets. Just an idea.
See, that's why maybe it would be nice to have a group of 3 or 4 sit down and work on the future parklets to bring something here. And then we throw it out to the whole committee and say, okay, is this what you would like? What would you like to add? What would you like to talk about? And then go from there. What do you think?
Sign me up.
Okay, you want to head it? Okay, Brett, it's on your tape.
I'm gonna do my outreach and
Okay.
I have a
And-
question. So
yeah.
what currently happens, say I have a new business on Monterey and I take it upon myself to put a parklet in? Or do I have to come to the city first and say, may I, may I?
You do, and then we're gonna respond if we don't have a park program. So
Right.
Right, and there's all these new businesses coming, so I think there is somewhat of an urgency, just because you don't have any rules. You know, go ahead and build what you want.
Well, I mean, you can't do, I mean, I wouldn't dare do something in a parking spot without the city's permission.
Right.
Like, you can't even put a freaking sign up without someone complaining.
That's right.
That's why I said the thing about the sign, because it's like, you know, it's getting to the point where people are complaining and there's a lot of politics. So I wouldn't even dare to put something out there, especially as a new business. But I think that Jimmy's right. I think we need to give them something about the existing ones if we want uniformity there, and just speak in terms of for existing parklets, this needs to happen. And then future problem is new parklets. And you could say something like, we're developing a program, or whatever people ask.
Well, it's getting to be 8:45, 15 minutes over. I said we were gonna stop at 8:30. So Fred's gonna head up the Parkland subcommittee. You get your people to work on it, bring something to us. And, what I want to talk to you about, I think it's become very realistic to see that, our ordinances are stalled for a couple of years, until, remember, we had, both of our ordinances, the vacancy one and the climate removal one done in 23. At the end of 23, they're not coming before council anytime before 25, June of 25. We just can't, what's our purpose here? If we just keep working and doing more and more ordinances and more suggestions, it's just gonna keep getting pushed off. We're gonna be frustrated. I'm frustrated, at the moment. So I am thinking that we should go on hiatus for a few months. And it probably would be really good to come back in September to hear what your subcommittee has put together. And we work on parklets, and then we decide when we meet again. What do you think? Because what was the purpose of this committee? I mean, why did you join?
To try to beautify the downtown.
Exactly,
Get some kind
exactly.
of rules and
And I
regulations.
mean, and things have happened, the tree lighting is really beautiful, your parking lot's gorgeous, the bowling alley's in. I mean, I left last night thinking about, what can I continue doing? And I guess I needed to hear June of 25 to kind of spark me up a little bit to say, well, okay, what can I do? So last night on my way home from the council meeting, I called 2 building owners to say, can we put artwork in your vacant buildings? And I got one immediate yes, and the other one said, let's meet next week. And maybe we all can start doing certain things that we want to see done in downtown. And just go from there and see what. I was calling mural arts up yesterday, saying we need our murals, and so we're working at different angles, and we've got to get this town beautified one way or the other. And I know parks is a big issue that everyone has on his or her mind, everyone has different opinions, and we'll just see.
Well, Carol, that's, again, I'll go with whatever's the will of the committee, right? And if that's it, maybe September, everyone comes back with new, fresh ideas or other things that we've seen, right? How the growth is happening, whatever. We might have a whole different mentality 3-4 months from now, right? Than we are today. I don't know. I mean, I'm in favor of continuing, but if we decide to, go on.
Well, let's take a vote of the group that's here. How many of you would like to continue on a monthly basis?
I'm okay with continuing.
Yeah.
I think
Five, six.
Depends on.
I know.
What are we
If we're
doing?
just-
Yeah, are we coming for coffee?
Yeah.
We have, we can discuss it for next month. And from all our, input, we have nothing really to discuss next month,
Right.
right? Let's shoot for the following. But to say we're on a hiatus for several months, I think something comes up in July, Dave really wants to talk about, and that's the reason for us to come together.
July normally is a council hiatus,
No,
though, yeah, so, but maybe August.
I have a question. I'm sorry to be ignorant on this, but how does this work? So last week, we brought something to the city council. Why do things get put off for a year? I'm confused. Is there so much going on that, how do they decide what's important and not? I don't understand how this works. Sorry.
Sharon, you want to answer that question, or Jimmy? Okay.
Well, we adopt into your budget, the council adopts a work plan. And that work plan has items that are either mandated by the state, we have no choice. Then there's things that we have to do as a city, and then there are things that are discretionary. And so the items that you're talking about here are very definitely discretionary. So when we've been to council twice to talk about community development work plans, that we're getting things added, and there's an expectation that this stuff's gonna get done right away. But when we're not getting our mandated things down for things, we can't just pop that up there. And we've asked council, is this the appropriate place for this item to be on the work plan? And we've had that discussion with council twice. So unless the council tells us we don't want you to do the mandated or core programs, we can't skip that up to the front.
Because it kind of seemed like what the downtown, or what this group is concerned about is downtown, but nobody on the council cared. To vote, to say, we support it, we want this. Well, so whether it's, not mandated, but it's one of the less important things, but nobody said anything. I just didn't
I'm
understand.
sorry, I'm not understanding what you just said. You just said that. Thank you for the explanation. You said that no one on council cares about making this a priority. Is that what I'm hearing? I would disagree.
Well, no, what she's talking about is Monday night,
Yeah.
when it was presented and our two ordinances got pushed, to June of 2025, and I made my little speech. I looked and I asked council, what do you think? There was crickets. And that's what she's talking about, it sent a message to the businesses.
Okay.
Does the council care?
Carol, first of all, you weren't the only one I spoke up in regards to that too. I agree. What I'm saying is, it's the majority of the council voted against what we want, right? So it's not everyone. I mean, no disrespect, I get frustrated because there's so many things I want to see happen, but it doesn't happen, right?
Because that's
Again, but we don't want the majority of the council.
why when we do the budget cycle, that's when we set the work plan. Budget cycles, when we're looking at everything. And so that we know how much money is in there, what is the staff bandwidth, and what are we accomplishing? That's what we have studies, we have a zillion study sessions when it's the budget cycle to do that. So that's done, and that's staff's marching orders for the next 2 years. If council were to just keep adding stuff to that after the fact, you can't do that without addressing what you've already done. So for council to have said, okay, we're gonna take this on, you need to also be telling staff, what is it replacing? That's how, you can't just keep adding new things without addressing what that's doing to the whole. So that's why it's not that there's not an interest, it's that who has brought forward, who has led the committee, spokespeople for the committee, who wants to take charge of this, brings it to council. If you're gonna suggest that it change the work plan, you need to offer to the council how it's changing the work plan, the whole thing. Otherwise, you don't know what to do, and you say, no, this is the marching orders we gave staff, so this is gonna now go on. They get it when they can. So the two gentlemen that talked about, I didn't understand, Little League, do we not have it in Gilroy anymore? They were saying it's Morgan Hill, I don't wanna wear a Morgan Hill hat, I wanna wear a Gilroy hat. Well, that was just, they just want to be heard, and they just want to talk?
Yes.
I don't, oh, really?
They
So
came
can
to
you
speak.
just say, blah, blah?
They came to speak during items not on the agenda.
Right.
Right, so unless they can talk to a councilman who asks to put it on the agenda and has a plan for how we're gonna go about this, it really should be going through Parks and Rec first. Right, and then coming to the council for how to do things.
So we don't have Little League Gilroy anymore?
No, we do, there's
Yeah.
no fall,
They want-
yeah.
All
They
of
want, they drive.
them. Okay. I mean, it's just, we got all kinds of requests, more pickleball stuff, those things don't stop, and I'm not saying they shouldn't come, but when people do it just in public comment items not on the agenda, it's hard to know where to take that.
So
Really
if we
need help.
propose something like for the current parklets, is that something that will go onto the agenda and then be addressed in 2025, or is that something less, less of a big deal and it could get done?
I think it's the latter, but I think it depends on the level of what you're asking. We do not have a program at all. You just saw today
Yeah.
how hard it is to try to, come up with ideas, but you don't even have a basis.
So it sounds like that's something that we could potentially actually accomplish, is creating baselines for the current ones and then doing the subcommittee. So it sounds like there are things that we might be able to accomplish by meeting. It just, maybe they just need to be smaller pieces until our bigger ones go through. Is that when
Yeah,
I
that's kind of what I was trying to.
Yeah.
The current issues.
Right.
Let's address those and see what modifications need to be made, including the code violations, and then take on a bigger program when you realize you have an appetite for it.
Yeah, I personally do think we should be addressing the two that are there.
Yeah, so
Right.
maybe that's something that we can come up with next time. It's just make it smaller, take out the
So
smaller
if we
pieces.
give you between now and August, would you be able, Fred, to come up with a parklet recommendation?
Yeah. Yeah.
So for clarification, who is on the subcommittee?
I don't know.
Well, I'll email everybody who wants to, join me. What they have.
I think this is gonna make it take longer to deal with the two that are there.
I'm not a business owner downtown, so. Not for me.
We established, start with the code violations.
Carol, do you want to separate the two?
With the code violations, and then with the parklet, probably the parklet should come before the other two, just because if new businesses are coming in and they want to do a parklet, we need to have some guidelines, correct?
Yeah, but I also think we need to hear from those businesses, well, it's something they want. And
Right.
That can get you the inertia to
move.
forward, but we've not heard that anymore. They want additional markets.
Right.
But there's also the point about they don't want people in the city.
Yeah,
So that's why we want to address the two different.
Right.
So do we want to separate it where we're doing future parklets?
future,
And then we also address these two?
well, yes, because those two would have to be, well, they have code violations. So that'd be, that's a whole different topic.
So isn't that something though that the city, whatever, could take care of the code violations
Yes.
without a committee?
Right.
Right. And just get that taken care of ASAP.
Enforcement by committee.
Yeah.
Just get that taken
Yeah.
care of and then come up with another
But then
plan.
these two would have to realize if the committee, if the subcommittee brings it back and says 48 inches height, then those other two would have to conform, correct?
After the council.
After it goes to council. I mean, if that gets passed. So-
If there's a lot of energy put into these new parameters, and the fire department comes back and says that, you know, it's next to a fire hydrant, it's a safety issue,
Right,
nothing else matters. And that's a lot of energy wasted. So, I mean, personally, I'm okay with keeping temp the way it is, bring it down 48 inches, but if it's code violation, I mean, that's
Something else, yeah.
I mean, none of us wants to be culpable if there's a fire, and the fire department keeps people that. So it's almost like we kind of need sign off from the fire department. Is this a forgivable violation?
and then the
Or,
crosswalk, the January 1st law.
I mean, if it's a safety issue, then why are we talking about it?
Yeah.
We could take care of it.
So basically, the committee recommends that or the
That's
committee
city.
recommends that they.
Now the city, yeah.
And work it on the ball.
And they take on the two that are there. And then your subcommittee will be doing future
Recommendations.
recommendations,
Mhm.
okay? So August or September, guys, when do you want to put that, when do you want to bring it back?
I mean, if we're gonna meet August, we'll have done by then, if that's.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, what do you think, August?
Then great.
That works.
All right, August, what is, what do we, second Tuesday of August. Okay, we'll come back and report to us and then we'll go from there. All righty, anything else? Okay, meeting adjourned.
What is that? The 13th?
Yeah, I was just deleting the other one.
So, that was fun.